Hello, everyone. Hello, how are you today? I hope you're well. Hi, Vladimir. I'm great, thank you. How are you today? I'm slowly becoming a live stream expert, but it's taking a bit of time. I'm good, thank you. How was your day? And just let me know if the sound and if everything is okay, if you can hear me clearly. Very good, very good. So, would you say that you had a good day? Was it an average day? A run of the mill day? So, we're almost at the weekend. Perfect. Almost at the weekend. Almost have that Friday feeling. Very good. Very good. So, these live streams are a way just to have a bit of a chat, have an everyday conversation. Um, It's a bit of a slow conversation because I'm quite tired anyway. So it's going to be a bit of a slow, relaxed English live stream. So I put out a video earlier today. Did you manage to check it out? So the video is quite interesting to do because it contains many different ways to say and to express when you feel annoyed, because in life it's impossible to be happy all of the time. And in one of the future live streams or video lessons, I will talk about different ways to say and to describe happiness and what makes you happy. But I thought it would be quite interesting because in the UK, a lot of people, you may hear a lot of people describing things that they are annoyed with. And I thought some of the phrases and idioms are quite funny. There's one in particular, well, there's quite a few in particular. There's one which is throw a wobbly. And I use this one quite often. And it can be said in quite a funny way as well. Hello, you I bite. Hello. Hello to you from Brazil. How are you today? So we're talking about the video that I put out today, um, and the idiom "to throw a wobbly" I think is quite funny, and it's quite nice to say. Ah, yes. a face like thunder. I'll come to that. But first, I wanted to have a look at this one because it's quite funny to say to someone else, but you need to be careful who you say this to. Um, Say, for example, it's a friend or someone in your family, and they are just getting upset about something, like something small. And you can say to them, calm down, don't throw a wobbly. It's just that word, wobble. It's just a nice word to say if something wobbles. Um, yeah, and the face like thunder. It's not nice when you see someone that has a face like thunder. Um, are there any things that make you feel annoyed? I think um, maybe if you're having a bad day and then there are road closures, maybe on your way to work, and if there's something that disrupts your day, then you can start to get annoyed. If there's things that start to add up, if things start to pile up. So if something piles up, it starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger. But generally, I'm a relaxed person. Not many things annoy me. I guess if you're having a lot of bad weather, that can annoy me. And UI Byte, what is the time now in Brazil? Go to my trusty friend Google. Okay, it's almost 4:30. Ah, okay. Um, yeah, we call that a resting bee face. I'm not going to say the full word. If I was editing it, then I would bleep it out. So when you have a resting bee face, it's like you constantly look annoyed. Um, and I think, sometimes some people can have um, like to come across as being disinterested. And I don't want to stereotype, but a lot of the times in the UK, people want to keep to themselves, so they don't have a general like friendly face unless you know them. But yeah, I thought that video was quite interesting to make. So, like I said before, these live streams are a nice way to kick back, relax, let me know about your day. How's your day going? What did you get up to today? Do you have any plans for the weekend? And it's also quite nice to discuss things that are really like a mixed bag, because when I'm creating the videos, they can be quite specific. So here, it's okay. This is a safe space to talk about anything random. At the moment, I'm watching quite a few things to do with the Epstein case. Ah, very good. Laundry. Well, when the weather's hot, it's nice to do laundry because you can put the clothes outside. So I'm watching quite a few videos to do with the Epstein case. There are some really good channels out there. One in particular, I think his name is CoffeeZilla, and he does deep dives into topics. So a deep dive is when someone would go into a topic in a lot of depth. They will cover it in a lot of depth, and it's nice because he has another channel where he talks about things more off the cuff, and it's more reactionary to what's happening at the moment. And there are so many developments that are happening, in particular with Trump. So Trump has his own social media platform, Truth Social. I don't use it, but I've heard of it. And that's where he has his loyal supporters following him. It was quite a smart move by him, though, to create his own social media, because you had Elon Musk go and buy Twitter for so much money, and then Trump just created his own social media platform. So it was quite interesting because he posted something on his platform about trying to get his supporters to ignore what's happening with the Epstein case, and essentially calling them idiots if they don't ignore it. So there's quite a lot of backlash now, and a lot of people are sticking to the topic, which I think is quite good, because when you have an important topic, don't let it go. Keep talking about it. That's the only way that I think you can make real change, because it's almost as if social media is a sort of currency. Because before social media, you had the press, and you still do have the press, but they're not as influential as they used to be. So if you have your own social media platform, you have a lot of power. And I think things like with the various social media platforms now, people can voice their opinion. So it's almost like it's a popularity contest, and it's quite interesting because he played that card, that popularity card, to get re-elected. And sometimes, I wish it wasn't about popularity. And when we think about politics, you try and appoint qualified politicians, people that have some morals and be able to make good decisions. But a lot of things like that can be down to popularity. Even YouTube, for example, it can be a popularity contest. So it is a shame when you see politics becoming such like a popularity contest. But I think it's good that people are talking about it. They're not letting it go. And new evidence is always coming out all of the time. For example, it was exposed that there was more than a minute's footage that was missing from the videotape of Epstein's cell. So I just find it fascinating because, like I said last time, it's like a movie that's happening in real life, and all of these pieces of evidence keep coming out, and they are not releasing the definitive evidence that they have, but now they're saying that they don't have. So to me, it's fascinating to read about this, because usually when you have stuff in the news, it can be quite depressing, and it's nice to see. And I think it's the case with social media that once you start looking at something, you're fed more of it. And I guess it's the same for for English content. If you start looking for English content, you'll be given more of the same. That's why I made a mistake once of watching a video about the cat looking after the ducks, and now I just get shown so many of these videos that I had to just keep clicking on not interested. But they slowly lure you in to get you interested in these cute puppies. But you know, the day of AI is coming soon, where you will have most of the things will be in AI. But until that time happens, it's quite interesting. So looking at the news today, there's an interesting article on the BBC about voting age is to be lowered to 16 by the next general election. So at the moment, you have to be 18 to vote. So there's plans to allow 16 and 17-year-olds to vote, which I think is a good idea. So the age of voting was lowered from 21 to 18 in 1969. In Scotland and Wales, it's already 16. So the UK Parliament has plans to reduce it to 16. Now it's interesting because in the article, people make some valid cases, because if you are 16 in the UK, you can have children, you can go out and work, but you can't buy alcohol, you can't buy a lottery ticket. So I think that's quite interesting. You have quite a juxtaposition there of, on one hand, you can become a parent at 16, but you can't vote when you are 16. So I think it's quite archaic that they haven't done this already to allow 16-year-olds to vote. And I wonder why. Why didn't they do this sooner? Why are they only doing this now? Well, it's quite interesting because, let me find the information here. Okay, so in the UK, 16 and 17-year-olds make up only around 3% of the population aged 16. So researchers say the impact is likely to be negligible. So if something is negligible, this means that it won't really make a difference, but you never know, it could do. It could make a big difference. Now, so Labour at the moment, they are in power. So some people are saying that it could benefit Labour because young people are more likely to vote for left-wing parties. Is that really the case? Well, if we think about left-wing, right-wing, so left-wing is more about justice, thinking about everyone in society, whereas right-wing is more about anti-immigration. And some people say that the youth vote is at risk of being chipped away by the Greens, Liberal Democrats, and Reform. So that's quite interesting. There's a nice phrase there, chipped away. So if something is chipped away, this means that it's slowly reduced. For example, say if you are really motivated to learn English, over time, your motivation can become chipped away because life gets in the way, you're busy with other things. So some people are saying that they could get swayed by other parties. What do you guys think? Because it's quite interesting, because young people being able to vote would mean that they have more autonomy, they'll be able to make an impact, and I think it's a good thing. However, would they be more susceptible to being manipulated? I don't necessarily think this is the case, because anyone is susceptible. I mean, like I said before, just look at America. So even adults are susceptible to being manipulated. And it's not necessarily about 16-year-olds. But it is quite interesting, because maybe the politicians will have to change how they try to get these young people's votes. Will they have to go on social media more? And in a way, Trump was ahead of the game by doing this, by going on podcasts, using social media a lot more. Like I said before, it almost becomes like a currency. It's something that you can use in a powerful way to manipulate, to persuade other people into your point of view. You even only have to see things like when people are selling things online, you're more likely to buy from someone that you think is real, and you build up that trust with someone, then you're more likely to buy from someone. So things when, like on TikTok, for example, TikTok Shop, if someone is advertising something, as opposed to just a company and seeing their advert. So it's becoming a lot more powerful in terms of people are more careful with how they interact with brands. They want more than just a fancy advert on the TV. They want to actually see real people using the products. So it is interesting, because they will have to change how they interact on social media to get these young people's votes. But it's about time. If people can work at 16 and be responsible, it is a bit strange that they can only drink alcohol when they get to 18. And that just goes to show as well how destructive alcohol can be. But you can become a parent at 16, but you can't vote at 16. So when you're voting, you are stating your opinion about things that have a real impact on society and your own life. So I thought it's quite interesting. Let me have a look at the other news stories for today. Yeah, that is true. I think it's relative. I think relative is such a nice word to use in this circumstance, because yeah, some kids don't understand some things. Also, it's also the same with adults. They also don't understand things. It's quite interesting, because you could have a young person that's 16 and working and paying his taxes and working really hard. He may have children at 16 or 17. And then on the other hand, you may have someone that's 20 in university and not working and not really studying hard, but just in university because he or she thinks they should be there. So they're not really contributing to society. So it's all relative, I think. But social media is such a powerful thing, and it infiltrates your life in so many different ways, because if you are able to use it to make income, to then support your family and have more time to spend with your family and have a better quality of life, that's a wonderful thing. It's something that wasn't possible 20 years ago. So, it's quite interesting how it's developed. Yeah, other than that, I can indulge in talking about sports a little bit as well. This is an interesting time in terms of football and the UK, because football is huge in the UK. The Premiership is huge. It just engulfs the country. There's so many people that watch football, and at this time there is no football at the moment. It only starts next month. So you have something called the pre-season, where people are and the clubs are looking to sign other players. And it's quite interesting when you see the large numbers floating around. For example, Arsenal want to buy a striker called Gyökeres for about 55 million, I think it is, 55 million pounds. And they're trying to negotiate with the club. And he wants to leave. He wants to go to Arsenal. He's even said he will forfeit his salary. He will forego his salary in order to join Arsenal. But then his agent wants a commission, and his agent said that there is a gentleman's agreement that would allow him to leave the club. And I read this term and I thought that's such an interesting term, a gentleman's agreement. Have you heard of this before? So when you have a gentleman's agreement, it's when something is talked about, but it's not official. But it's interesting how you have a gentleman's agreement, but you wouldn't have a ladies' agreement. It's one of those strange, old-fashioned terms that are still knocking around. So apparently there was a gentleman's agreement with the agent and one of the chairmen of the club. But then that guy left, and the person that replaced him said he didn't know about this agreement. So there was nothing written. So that's a good reminder that in life to always get things in writing. If you are at work and you're responding in emails, always copy other people in. I always recommend to my students to always CC in other people. Don't feel like you are badgering them if by copying them in. You need to have a paper trail there, because especially in business, people may say, oh, but you didn't tell me to do this. And it can just be hearsay, and then it's just your word against the other person. But by having a paper trail, so a paper trail, even though it's an email, we still use this phrase, paper trail. So there's no paper involved, but there are emails involved that you can trace back to find out what happened. So Arsenal, they've signed a few other players, and it's quite an exciting time, really, especially as a supporter of, I've been supporting them for about 30 years now. And finally, we're getting to a stage where Arsenal are being recognised again. And it's really nice. It's really nice because the last 3 years we finished second in the table, and we faced a lot of banter from other clubs. So banter is when you have light-hearted jokes or teasing. So the phrase, see you next Tuesday, the first letters show a very word. But the phrase, see you next Tuesday, not really. Is there a particular place that you heard this or saw this? that explains it then. That's TikTok. But I haven't seen this. This may be part of a trend that's developing, but um, from my understanding, no. See you next Tuesday just means to see you next Tuesday. But sometimes slang and phrases can develop, and they can develop quite quickly. But I haven't heard about that one. That's new to me. So, FOMO. Do you have FOMO? Have you heard of FOMO? So, FOMO is the fear of missing out. So, FOMO. So, FOMO is the fear of missing out. Fear of missing out. Is there something that you have a fear of missing out of? So apparently, 23% of 12 to 15-year-olds wake up nearly every night to use social media. Another 15% wake up at night once a week for the same reason. And that's extremely high, 23%. But it is interesting because, say, if you are on YouTube and you see a thumbnail that is very intriguing and you don't click on it, you have a feeling of, I need to go back to it to click on it. And being on YouTube and creating channels, I hope you watched the live stream, Vladimir, the replay. I'm playing around with different times, finding the sweet spot. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because when you have this, you try, even with myself, I've tried that before. I was like, okay, if I'm on YouTube, I see a thumbnail, okay, I'm not going to click on it. But there's that primitive part of your brain that's like, I need to go back and find out. I need to fill in the missing gap. And so a lot of social media is actually tied in with psychology. And it's one of the reasons why I find it so fascinating, because it's a lot to do with marketing. It's a lot to do with marketing. And so much of life is about marketing, is about perception. Like I said before, you look at Trump. Like with Trump, how was someone like that was on TV and managed to become the president of the country? I think it's crazy. And also, before I forget, a reminder to everyone about the group class that's starting on Sunday, the 3rd of August at 7 p.m. British summertime. So it's a great opportunity for you to practice your speaking in a small environment. There will be 8 students and you'll have lots of speaking time. So you can go to britishharry.com, click on the shop button and have a look. I'm also teaching private one-to-one lessons as well. So if you are interested in that, you can have a look at my website, britishharry.com. So I really appreciate it. I'm trying to build a community here. It's not easy because YouTube is a big place. There are lots of people also trying to build as well. So, at the end of the day, I think it's about going for it. Even doing these live streams, they're not the easiest thing to do because you can't edit and I can't hear you. So that's also why the group sessions are quite good, because we can have that interaction. You get to speak in a safe environment, and over the 8 weeks, you'll see a lot of progress. And this is because I've taught thousands of students. If you look at my website, you will see the testimonials from my students. They've gone on to have better jobs, to pass important exams, improve their English, and it's really helped them in their work and their life. So I find it amazing that I'm in a position, very grateful that I'm in a position that I can be able to help more people in this way. I think it's amazing. And if you have any other ideas for videos, let me know. I have another joke video that I'm looking at. Also looking at some vocabulary lessons as well. So let me know. I did indeed. And I think we will wrap it up there. I'm getting a bit. It was rain. We had a little bit of rain, but it feels quite humid as well. I think it's just the aftermath of just the hot weather. So I'm making sure that I'm drinking lots of water, but I'm actually getting a bit peckish now. So I think I'm going to wrap it up there. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Remember to go to britishharry.com, have a look at the information about the group classes and the private one-to-ones. I really appreciate your support. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm going to go and have a bite to eat and see what is on Netflix, I think. Lovely. Thank you so much. Cheers. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks and bye.